Hey guys, this is Dakira B, where we are 50 in season. I am back with another episode of the Black Chat. So today what I'm going to talk about with you guys will be grieving at your own pace. I've been kind of dragging my feet to do this video. I don't know why. Uh, but I have noticed that that's what I have been doing, dragging my feet on this. I still have not completed my vlog that I had started. So we'll be talking about a few things in reference to grieving. Again, it will be one of my own personal situations. That's what the Black Chat is all about. Some of the things that I talk about, really the majority of the things that I've been talking about are my own personal experiences. And you guys know that from previous blogs or previous Black Chats, I used to work in the hospital, ER. I was also a security officer for the hospital as well. So I started out doing a lot of things with security. My first 3 years working at the hospital. That was an experience within itself. The reason I'm going in around in reference to the hospital is because to kind of explain some of the things that I've went through in regards to grieving or whatnot. So I had no problems with doing CPR or seeing CPR being done. Because at the hospital, the security officers answers to the calls. Say for instance, when you're in the hospital, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, you may hear something come across the intercom saying that there's a code blue. That usually means that someone is coding, which means that their heart may have stopped. So security has to be there. The reason that security has to be there is because of the family that may be there during the time they may be there visiting. Their loved one is coding, and the nurses and doctors are coming in to do CPR. So during this time, you may have someone that is having a hard time dealing with them seeing the CPR being done on your loved one, because CPR is not a joke. It ain't no joke. The compressions are so hard to pump into your chest, where a lot of times when they're doing the CPR, it's breaking your rib cage. They take their rounds, the nurses and the techs that are there and the doctors are there. The doctors are not usually the ones that are doing the CPR. It's usually all of the nurses, the doctors are in there instructing them on what to do. Hey, give them this this injection for this, or give them that. Give them, they're just continuously telling them what to do. That is a hard thing to see. So that's why security had to be there. So make a long story short, security was there for CPR. Security would be there to take the funeral home down to the morgue when the funeral home comes to pick up the bodies. So I was exposed to a lot of death. I was exposed to a lot of CPR. A lot of things really did not bother me. I never had anyone to pass that was close to me during that time. So it just really didn't bother me seeing CPR being done on someone, or seeing someone pass, or walking in the room realizing that the person has been gone for some hours, or sometime may have to come in the room to pick up some belongings, or little things like that. So I never had a problem with it. So yeah. But I never had a problem with those situations working at the hospital. They did mold me to be a little stronger. with those situations, but I never did have a problem with it, I guess, from Jump Street. I probably should have been a nurse. The only thing I have a problem with is giving people shots, because I don't like getting shots. So I think I probably could have been a nurse if I went to school to be one. Um, but yeah, so me going through those whole, the entire 3 years of being in security taught me a lot in reference to people passing. I did have an older lady, Caucasian lady. I think she had called the hospital before she got to the hospital, or someone called her and told her that her husband had passed. I think the nurse may have called her. That particular day, she was sitting out in the ER parking lot, and she was looking so confused, and I don't know if God put it on my heart to talk to that lady, but she was sitting there just so confused, holding the steering wheel. So I guess she was in shock, or you go through a lot of different things when somebody passed away and you're there alone. So I got her to start talking. I just kind of knocked on the window because I noticed that she had been sitting there for a while in that same position. So I figured something was wrong, or she had to get in the ER, or she may have had a heart attack, anything. We were trained to notice these type of things, the triggers for heart attacks, the triggers for stroke, all that stuff. So she kind of blinked out of the situation, the position that she was in, when she noticed I was knocking on the window. And I asked her if she was okay, and she said yes. And she just started bawling, crying, just crying. Little old lady. So I kind of started talking to her, got her to calm down a little bit, got her out of the truck, started talking to her about something else, way off the radar. And she kind of, wiped her face and got okay. And then I got her to tell me why she was there. And she had told me, well, my husband passed. He is on such floor, whatever floor it was, I can't remember. He was on the floor. The nurses had left him in the room because they knew she was coming and she wanted to see him. So she asked me, will I walk up to the room with her, and will I stay with her until she's done visiting? So I was like, okay, I have no problem with doing it. But I had to let my manager know that I was going to be upstairs. Went up there, walked up there with her, and let her go inside of the room. I walked into the room with her until she got to the bedside. And I turned around and walked back out and stood at the door. Waited there until she finished visiting, like I promised her that I would do. And kind of peeked around just to make sure she was okay. She was removing the jury. He still had his wedding ring on. The nurses hadn't taken all that off, but they had belongings in a bag. So they had given that to her, and she had gotten all that stuff. So she had to sign the death certificate. The nurses had already had all the paperwork drawn up for her to sign. So all she had to do was sign and leave and let them know what funeral home was coming to pick him up and when they were coming. So she signed some piece of paper. I can't remember what it was. Whatever it was she signed, she noticed by the time we finished the visit, I walked her back down to her car, and she told me she had forgotten the piece of paper she had signed. It was not the death certificate. It was not the death certificate. It was something else. And she was like, well, I don't want to go back up there. Will you please go up there and get it for me? Can you do that one more favor for me, please? And so it wasn't nothing. I went back up there, got the paper for her, came back down, and gave it to her, and kind of talked to her a little bit, make sure she was okay to drive. She seemed to be okay. She was calm. I had given her, when I came back down, I had stopped by the little lounge and got a little small cup of coffee I made her some coffee, gave her the coffee, and made sure she was okay. So the little lady, she started smiling at me, and I'm looking, and I'm thinking in my head, like, why is this woman smiling at me? What's wrong with her? So she told me to come close to where she was. I came kind of like had my head next to the window, and she had her hand balled up like that, and she told me to put my hand out. Put my hand out. This woman gave me $100 bill. I tried to get a $100 bill back to her because you can't take money from people like that when you're working at the hospital. And I explained that to her. She was like, I don't care. I'm giving it to you because I want to give it to you. And she pulled off and drove away because I was trying to give it back to her. But yeah, I've always had situations like that, so I was strong in that sense. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, I am actually dedicating this video to two main people that I have been grieving for the last, let's see, my cousin passed in 2020. My grandmother passed in 2023. So it's been a while. It's been a while. So I'm dedicating this video to my cousin Ann Lewis and my grandmother Mary Black. So I want to just kind of touch a little bit on grieving at your own pace. Hopefully this video will help someone else that may be going through the same thing. 1 second, guys, I'm sorry. The grieving process is a phase that immediately makes us want to retreat, curl up, and crawl into a dark, quiet hole. It is a phase we despise because it means that something in our world has changed, and we are struggling with how to handle moving forward when our heart feels flooded with emotions. Grief is defined as deep sorrow and is mostly used when someone has died. The loss of a loved one, the loss of a relationship due to unresolved issues and falling out or emotional baggage, serious illness of a loved one or partner, the loss of joy in a relationship, miscarriage or loss of a child, the loss of one's identity or dream, selling a home, loss of safety after a trauma. So there's several. Alright guys, I'm sorry about that. My camera said my memories was full for some reason. I know I'm gonna probably need to put another battery in here, but hopefully I won't be too long. So I'm back. So basically what I was saying was grief come in many forms, not just someone's passing. So with that said, we have to give ourselves time to grieve, meaning acknowledging your feelings, accepting that grief is a process, and allowing yourself to heal. I know it sounds really, really easy to say, but unless you experience it, for those of you that know, you know. You know what I'm talking about. Tips to help you with grieving. Talk to others. Share your feelings with friends and family. Take care of yourself. Eat well. Exercise. And get enough sleep. As you can see, I ain't getting enough sleep. Between the grief, the menopause, and this time change, baby, I am having some trouble. And then on top of that, these bags run on my dad's side of the family. So It's something that's already in my genes. So yeah. Um, Join a support group. Connect with others who are also grieving. Consider professional support. Talk to your doctor or a mental health professional. Um, there is nothing wrong with doing therapy. Therapy is completely healthy for everyone. You can have therapy for anything. Find healthy ways to express your feelings. Write in a journal. That helps me. Make art or play music that reminds you of your loved one to make you feel closer to them. Be patient with yourself. Grief follows its own schedule and feelings will pass over time. Let go of expectations. Try not to make any major changes right away. So basically, all that boils down to is give yourself time. Grieving at your own pace, not someone else's. So for me, just to give you guys a little brief overview of my two loved ones that I lost. My first one was my cousin. At the time, my cousin, her name is Ann Lewis. She passed on November 1st, 2020. I remember it's clear as yesterday. I think it was about 8 o'clock in the morning, between 8 and 10 o'clock in the morning. I can't quite remember. I was at work. At that time, I was working security at the hospital. I'm not going to say what hospital I used to work at, but I was working security at the hospital. I'll never forget, I was pulling up in front of the Heart Building, getting ready to go inside and do my rounds in the Heart Building, and my mom called me. I'm thinking it's just a normal day, you know, we just shooting the breeze. She's calling me just to kind of check in for the day, because I'm my mom's only child. I have two other siblings through my dad, so my mom only has one kid, which is myself. I'm the only child. So she is the only child as well. So again, I was walking into the Heart Building. I got the phone up to my ear. I'm talking to her, and I'm answering the phone at this point. All I could hear was her crying hysterically. She was hysterical. I couldn't understand anything she was saying, so I'm thinking that I need to leave work because something wrong with her, or someone had broke into the house, or something's wrong with my grandma. You know, I'm just thinking that. I wasn't thinking anything of what she was calling me about, period. I hadn't talked to any of my cousins. I hadn't talked to anybody that morning. I was just starting my morning. So she was calling me, telling me my cousin had to have surgery and it didn't look good and all that. And I got her to calm down, but I couldn't get her to calm down enough. So she ended up just getting off the phone because she realized, oh, I'm calling you and you're at work. So let me just get off the phone. So at this point, I'm standing in the middle of the lobby of the Heart Building, just standing there because I'm like, what the heck? And so I called my cousin that was in the hospital having surgery. I called her sister. Her sister answered the phone, and she was doing the same thing my mom was doing. So I was like, okay, all right. So I just need not to call anybody right now. Everybody's upset. I don't really know all the details of what's happening and what's going on. I'm sorry, y'all. My phone ringing. I don't know any details or what's happening or what's going on or why she's having surgery or why she's in the hospital, things like that. So I just left it alone. So I went about my day as far as walking into that building, finishing up my rounds that I was supposed to be doing at that time. So I finished that up. finished that up, and I got back into the vehicle, and I went to another building that I was supposed to be doing rounds in. And once I got to that building, I walked in. I remember walking into the building, and I remember seeing another officer, one of my colleagues. She was in that building. I don't know what she was doing. I think she was doing some screening, because during that time, during 2020, we was deep off into COVID. So we were doing things with the screeners and things to that effect. So she was in that building doing that. And I just remember walking through the screening area. I walked straight through the screening area, sanitized my hands, did everything I was supposed to do, and all of a sudden I just started screaming. I don't know, thinking about what my mom was saying and what my cousin was saying, and it just took a toll over me. I couldn't control it. I was screaming, I was hollering, I was crying, I was just hysterical, my own self. I've never done that before, ever. I remember the officer that was there, her name was Miracle. All she did was just embrace me. Nurses were walking by, people that were working in the hospital were walking by, people from the cafe. Everybody was walking by. Everybody that was walking by knew me. All of them stopped. So now I got a bunch of people around me. Now I'm embarrassed at this point, because it's just a crowd of folks. Patients are coming in, the whole nine. So I got my composure together, sat down for a second, took about 10-15 minutes before I got back up to leave out of the building. Once I left out of the building, after I got myself together, I went straight to the break room and kind of just sat for a second. I remember having a conversation with my cousin that was in the hospital. I remember having a conversation with her daughter. And I'm trying to be the bigger person, trying to be the big cousin. And I was telling her that she had to be strong for her sister and all this stuff. And she pretty much told me she didn't know how to do that. And I could not blame her. And I realized I couldn't tell her to be strong because I wasn't strong. And my little cousin, I call her my little cousin because she's younger than me, but she's not a little cousin. She a grown woman. She have a baby. But she was very, very strong and very good. She's been dealing with it very gracefully. Her and her sister both have been very mature in handling their grieving. I know they have their moments. We all have our moments. But my cousin's passing, we could not prepare for her passing. So that kind of hurt a little worse for me because I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. I wasn't able to have my brain process it. You know, it was a very hard thing for me to endure. And I know people probably thinking, oh, that was just your cousin. It wasn't a sister, it wasn't a mom, a grandmother, whatnot. But I have a bunch of cousins, and I have a set of cousins that are really close to me, and I'm close to them. Now, my cousin that passed, she was 10 years older than me, but we were still close. I have a lot of cousins that are older than me. I only have a few cousins that are the same age as me. I think I only have like 2 cousins that's my same exact age. We're not close. We don't see each other a lot. We're not on the same side of town. They're not making an effort to come see the people that are on the north side. They're living on either the south side or somewhere in Third Ward, somewhere like that. I mean, we see each other when we have family situations, and it's usually someone's passing at someone's funeral or something like that. But just to come visit and hang out and say, hey, no. I have my own set of cousins that mean a great deal to me, whether they're older than me or younger than me. So it was that type of situation for me, for her. I do have sometimes, even now, since it's been 5 years, I'll be thinking about her and I'm getting ready to call her. Her phone number is still saved in my phone. So it's just, grieving is a hard thing, but you have to give yourself time to grieve and heal. Your heart is never going to heal, but you need to heal your mind and pray. Look to the good man upstairs and just pray on it until you can get better and heal yourself. My grandmother's passing was a little different. We were able to prepare our brains for her passing. It wasn't easy. It was really weird though, because she had, I never forget, she had a doctor's appointment. I think it was on April 24th, 2023. I remember it clear as day. I went to the doctor's appointment, my mom and one of my cousins that she helped raise. All three of us was there. It felt a little weird for some reason. I don't know. When she woke up that morning and I got there and my cousin was already there, I think. My mom lived in the same house as my grandmother, so they all were there. I noticed that she was a little swollen by the face, and she just looked like she was uncomfortable that morning. So we get to the doctor's office and we're sitting there in the lobby, and I think they were doing an ultrasound or something on her, and the nurse came and got all three of us, and they were like, okay, well, she has fluid around her heart. You guys need to rush her to the medical center immediately because she has fluid around her heart. She was 90 years old. We did just that. We took her to the emergency room. They admitted her. She had surgery to remove the fluid from around her heart, so they did that. Maybe a few days passed. They're still running tests. They're doing things because, mind you, my grandmother had kidney disease and she had diabetes. So her kidneys weren't functioning that well. But she had been hanging on for a very long time. At her age, they were saying that she didn't need dialysis. So she wasn't on dialysis. Her medicine was actually keeping her alive that she was taking. Apparently, she only had 2 weeks to live at that point. And notice once we admitted her to the hospital, that was it. Everything went. And she had exactly that. I think she made it to 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks. So they released her from the hospital, and then we ended up going to hospice. And she passed on Mother's Day, May 14th, 2023. May 14th, 2023 at 5:14 in the morning. Mother's Day. So, I mean, I was fine the whole time because I knew what was going to happen. I was fine all the way up until the funeral. I pretty much planned the funeral, did the obituary, did all that stuff. And I was fine. Walked into the funeral, but your girl was weak. I had a moment, another moment. You know, so I tell anybody that grief is not an easy thing to deal with. You will have to take those measures that I explained in the beginning of the video. Take those tips and roll with it. Start the process. You're never going to get rid of the pain. We already know that. The pain is going to always be there. But eventually we'll move forward and move from it as we go and grow. I'm still in the process of growing, and you know, I have my moments. Sometimes I could be in the kitchen washing dishes or something, and bam, I'm thinking about one of them. Or I see something on TV and I'm thinking, oh, my cousin would do that, or my grandmother would do that, or my grandmother would say that. You know, it's the process. I'm going to clip a few videos that will kind of bring a little joy into the video, because I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. The video is already talking about something that's sad. I don't want to make it a sad video. I'm just giving information, actually giving my experience in reference to the situation that I have endured. Hopefully it will help someone else. Kind of listen to the things that I'm talking about and listen to some of the tips that I've thrown out there, and maybe take heed to some of them. Maybe it will help you. I'm just going to clip a few videos of my cousin, maybe 1 or 2 videos of my grandma. And this video, again, will be dedicated to the 2 of them, Ann Lewis and Mary Black. They're my 2 favorite girls, and I know they're both in heaven. And I know they're both probably hanging with each other, because my cousin, you couldn't tell her nothing about my grandmother, baby. She would cuss you out about my grandma. She did not play about Mary Frances. Please trust and believe. She did not play about any of her family members, for that fact. It was not just my grandma. All of my friends that knew my cousin, they would always say, Ann was the rowdy one. She's not going to let nobody do nothing to nobody. And she was serious about her kids. So yeah, my cousin was a ride or die. I miss her. I wish she would never been taken from us. But I know God has a plan, and He doesn't make any mistakes. We just don't understand when it happens. And I hope that somebody out there, this video will help them. And I thank you guys for sitting here listening to me ramble on, or just watching my video for that matter. Please make sure that you like and subscribe and hit the notification bell, as YouTube always tells you to do. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Enjoy your day. Peace out.
Happy birthday, Aunt Frances. Happy birthday to you. Yeah, many more. Yeah.
Many more.
91. Right, it's coming around the corner. It's on its way already.
We gotta do it one more way. What's that day?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
You got a lot to be smiling for.
Smile. Smile. Come on.
So you be wildin' for.
Smile it. Smile it. Come on.
I get my grin on. I'm
Smile
smiling.
it.
This way going out.
Come on.
Been on so many different stages. Graced the cover of 100 magazine pages. Made people
Come on,
smile.
Soul Sister. Shake
Everywhere
that
that I
foot.
went, I even put it on the first black president. It's evident I'm hot as a crock pot.
Hey.
Smile like Mr. Hot Spot. You got a lot to be smiling for.
Smile.
be wildin' for?
Stop! Come out!
If you're breathing, you achieving.
Stop! Come out!
We having fun this evening, believe it.
Stop!
I'm living my best life.
Hey!
I'm going back and forth with you. I'm living my best life. I ain't going back and forth with you. I'm living my best life.
Don't stop the music. Don't stop the music. Don't stop the music. Don't stop the music.